like to ask Hans Hansen to come forward. Hans is also a case of distinction inductee, and he would like to introduce our final inductee, Mr. Bob Gardiner. Hans, if you would, thank you.
Thank you, members of the committee, for organizing these events. I think they're really meaningful over the years to many of us, not only the inductees, but also to their families and friends, and to the history of the school. Honored members of the Student Parliament, and very honored principal. I have been in your office many years ago, more than once. I'm glad I don't have to go back there anymore. Well, my story is true, though the time is long. The years have, I want to tell it to you before my memory's all gone. The years have gone by and our lives are all scattered, but we still live by the love and the values that we think really matters. Well, yeah, it's a long time, almost 60 years. I didn't think I was going to live that long. The doctor didn't think I was going to live that long when I was young. Okay, 60 years since Bob and I were friends here at KCCS. Is that what it's called now, or is it KCSS? SS. What's wrong with CS?
Yeah, comes to school.
It's much more descriptive. That's more meaning.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yeah, since Bob and I were friends here at King City Secondary School, and my memories are fewer and vaguer than they were in the years past. But the recollection of fun and adventure that we had, the plans and the great expectations we entertained, the things we dreamed of, all the stuff that makes being young such a heady experience, that's still very much with me. And Bob is part of it. There are two events that I shared with Bob that still stand out in my mind. The one was a hitchhiking trip we undertook to Quebec City and back. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were just out to see the world. And if it weren't for the kindness of strangers, things might have not turned out well at all. I think we came back just as school was starting in the fall, and when word spread of our adventure, we were accorded hero status, as if we had discovered the Northwest Passage. That was fun. The other event came about because I changed high school several times in the 5 years it takes to get to the end of it. After I was moved from King City to Bramley High School, I invited Bob to attend one of the school dances at my new school with me. There I introduced him to one of my new friends, a very lovely Miss Jan Leek. Jan had some connections with the world of fashion, and she had arranged for me to audition as a young male model, believe it or not. Okay. She thought I was pretty cute, but she thought Bob was cuter. So Bob got Jan, and I never got one single modeling job. I must admit that I was in awe of Bob back then. He's a talented man in many ways, and that is why it was interesting to hang out with him. Music and photography were special interests of his. I don't know why he bothered to become a successful lawyer in downtown Toronto when he could have had a great career eking out a living in one of the arts. Bob and I lost contact with each other for many years. It's only recently that we have reconnected and found out what happened to each other. It turns out that Bob, Mr. Gardiner, is a man of a great many accomplishments, and I think they're good and commendable accomplishments. So I continue to be in awe of him. Of his many contributions to his profession, to the arts, and to our cultural life, I'm especially moved by the work he has done on limiting the use of leg traps in the fur industry. For his extensive work on behalf of animal welfare, the Canadian Federation of Humane Societies gave him the prestigious McGraw Award, Frederick A. McGraw Award. His work on behalf of animal welfare continues, as does his philanthropic contributions. His work and his life are a credit to this. It was a new school when Bob started here, but now it's an old school. Yeah, his work and his life are a credit to this old school, and I'm very pleased, proud, to have nominated him for a well-deserved place in the King City Composite School, case of distinction. I want to hear this, I'm going to sit here.
Well, thank you, Hans, for those kind, glorifying, and I hope premature eulogy words, inflating my ego larger than Trump's. Once I landed in Guadalajara in a plane that had no front wheels. It crashed and burned and the flames flashed right by my window. My life didn't flash before my eyes at that moment, as they did just now. But of course, it's a high honor to join Professor Hansen and Tom Ellison and my fellow inductees in the case of distinction at the high school that became the launching pad for my life. I was lucky to have escaped a large city school to a one-room country school with 8 grades in one room, 23 kids, at PS 23, just a couple miles west of here. Starting grade 4, I could hardly read, and my teacher, Miss Courtney, conscripted my buddy, Henry Tutt, to teach me how, and using Wind in the Willows is where I learned. By grade 5, we taught grades 1 and 2 how to read and write, and I would wander to school through the 10-acre forest beside my house, or across the farm fields, jump Crayfish Stream, and get down to school. Our recesses were an hour of soccer all winter long, and we'd fetch pails of water from the farmers' co-op. We sang God Save the Queen, or O Canada. We took our turns reading from the Bible, and we won the York Region Conservation Award for our 20-foot long poster-painted mural telling people how to fix conservation. One grade 8 day, a bullet slammed right past me, right past my nose and behind John Nagel's head, went right through the window, and it went straight across, precisely across 5 rows of kids in between their heads, and landed in the back wall, only because I think our janitor took a lot of pride in doing a good job. I can still feel that breeze, by the way. Luckily, my beloved teacher, Miss Courtney, taught us so many kinds of lessons. Once I had to stand in the corner for something my buddy did, not me. One day she set me up, though, as we were conjugating verbs, ring, rang, rung, sing, sang, sung, and then my automatic turn, bring, brang, brung. Anyway, I owe so much to her, and back then I could still read my own writing. Egads, now my one-room school is a museum a couple clicks west of here. Well, I was part of the first grade 9 that came here and inaugurated King City Composite School as a brand new high school back in 1961. Mr. O'Byrne was our nice principal. Mr. Turchin was our principal of vice. I had a mental, unrequited, hopefully unrecognized love affair with my newly married, delightfully visaged homeroom French teacher, Miss Reeser. Sweet Dr. Ivanovsky taught us Latin even after he became Dr. Evans. I tried to justify learning Latin just in case, as a non-Catholic, I might become Pope one day. I didn't realize then how important it would be for my career to understand the meaning of semper ubi sub ubi, always wear underwear. I used to answer Dr. Pastuka's questions in Zen. He gave me a cherished book, The Way of a Pilgrim, containing his inspiring inscription. That's a book that's going to be the first thing I grab if there's ever a fire. I can't imagine a case of distinction that would equal what Dr. Pastuka accomplished. He was a medical student, a prisoner of war. He came to Toronto, worked during the days in an abattoir. At night he took a night school and to get his BA, then he got his teaching certificate, then he got his MA, then he got his PhD. You know, he could toot tunes on his homemade pipe flute. He consistently shot archery bullseyes, and he could slice a concrete block in half with his bare hand. When he died, the Chicago Tribune's headline said, "Famous poet dies at Chicago University." I had no idea he was a poet. English teachers such as Miss Courtney, Miss Reed, and Mr. Lemke, their inspirations led me on to my BA in English literature. I don't blame any of them for my handwriting. Anyone who had Mr. Lemke as a teacher knows Blake's earworm mantra, to see a world in a grain of sand, heaven in a wildflower, to hold eternity. How about to hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour? Mr. Olnick parsed the finer points of symphonic masterpieces which influenced my own guitar instrumentals. Mr. Simpson helped us struggle through chemistry, physics, biology, the wonders of a cell, which later intrigued me to delve into those fundamentals of our existence. I'm afraid I've repressed the names of all my math teachers for fear they might reconsider and flunk me. Filling the time between our extracurricular time until the bus arrived, it was an honor to be my class rep in our student parliament. And my role as co-editor of the ArtCon with Mary Dennett later contributed to my position as editor of the Osgoode Hall Law Journal, and also helped me run my wife's publishing company. As president of Mr. Simpson's Camera Club, I acquired my first job at age 13 working in a color film processing plant, and I still enlarge my own color photos at ImageWorks. At King's Simpsons Club rep, I managed to escape once a month to head downtown to Simpson's Arcadian Court with some fine-looking young ladies. This is the moment I'm finally going to fess up. My framed visage was posted up on a pillar in the women's lingerie department. I gave the first and worst speech of my life right here on King's Auditorium stage. Or has this diatribe now made that the second worst one? Running as treasurer, I fretted all day long, unable to figure out what in heck I was going to say. It felt like a death sentence when I walked up to the microphone, the guillotine I call it, in front of everyone to utter the speech that I hadn't been able to figure out. And surprise, the words still weren't there. Was it just 30 seconds of agonized silence in a blank, vacuum nothingness? Finally, I said, "Please elect me as treasurer," and I sat down. They did not. I'm here to say education's not wasted on the young. Concepts learned in high school enabled me to dive deeper. I still read 2 or 3 legal articles every morning, hoping to anticipate how to solve clients' problems. Those teachers inspired me not to feel like a dweeb as I crafted several poetries, including my major opus, Stardust Wonders. It's about everything, everywhere, ever. It's trying to explain the fairy tale of reality, exploring Earth's wonders and theories explaining the nature of our existence. It's a 129-page hobby poem in progress during 40 years, with a 250-book bibliography and combined with teachers' influences and insights from probably 50 or 70 museums. During 25 visits to London, I earned green room research privileges at the British Museum Library, enabling white-gloved handling of 9th century documents. While writing poems about gnomes and runes, I encountered Cynewulf, an abbot from about 845 AD, whose lengthy Latin poem Juliana contained apparent 8 spelling mistakes in the last 60 lines, which just happened to illegally spell Cynewulf's name in runic futarks. My copyright company, Cynewulf Inc., is named after the first British poet to claim copyright. Within a month after Hans moved from King to Bramalea, his poster-painted hands splotched all over the walls got him elected as treasurer. I went to the school dance where I met Jan. What?
They elected me.
They did elect you. Damn! That's where I met my clever high school sweetheart, Jan. I married her 2 years later. On my birthday, I was 19, and at the time she was 17. Jan guided me through 53 years and 45 countries. An accomplished artist, gardener, chef, and quilt designer, Jan bootstrapped her creative magazine concepts into her own startup company, which published 13 business magazines. I learned so much from her. My father was head of the art department at Northern Secondary School, and he also taught teachers how to teach art to kids going through public school or high school as they evolved. I gleaned some hints when I also got to teach at Ryerson's business law to fourth-year home economics students. That was fun. And I've lectured at various legal seminars. I keep thinking how lucky I am to be a Canadian, to have had such great opportunities, which allowed good fortune to knock on my door. I never had to pick up a gun or kill a Vietnamese soldier. Our high school years can define our unpredictable fates thereafter. Our teachers don't often get to find out how meaningful was their impact upon our lives. So thanks for this opportunity to honor the teachers who were the role models that inspired me.